Hi there. Welcome to the Raven's Call. I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, Goalie of the Ridgar folk, and I'm your host. Before we get started, I want to take care of some quick business. If you like what you see in the videos, please give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel and ding the bell. This will keep you up to date on everything that's going on with the channel. Also, if you'd like to contact me in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I've got email, Twitter, Facebook, and Saraha, all of that down in the description. So please jump in there, join the conversation, and let me know what you guys think. I look for your feedback. I take viewer requests, and I do a lot of polls and things like that on the Facebook page, all of that. So please join in. I love to hear from you guys, all right? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's subject. Today I want to talk about a certain element in the aspect of sacrifice, okay? Now, to talk about this element of sacrifice, I kind of have to talk about sacrifice in general, okay? Now, so I have to get the hair out of the way. Sacrifice is a huge part of heathenry. It's a huge part of what we do because it's the basis for most of our rituals. Now, sacrifice is something that is freely given, whose absence is felt, because it is of value to the giver and hopefully of value to the recipient. So it's a gift. And in giving with the sacrifice, there's a sense of loss because of this value. The absence of the value is felt. And so when we do blot to the gods and goddesses, or when we give offering to the Vetir, or our ancestors, we give something of meaning from us to them. Now, frequently, we will use, like with the gods and goddesses, I know mead is used a lot because it's a substance of value into which we place a lot of we just value it, but we also put a lot of our energies into it because liquids carry energies very well, and so they function well as an intermediary for gifting. It's actually the energies that we are gifting in that. So a lot of times you will have seen in archaeological digs that animals were sacrificed, humans were sacrificed, weapons were frequently sacrificed, and when a weapon was sacrificed, it was taken from the material world and sent to the world of the sacred. It was ruined. You can look at tons of pictures of swords that were curled or bent, destroyed in some way, shape, form, or fashion, so that they were unusable here on Midgard. But all of that effort, all of the work that went into it, all of the deeds that it did go on to the gods and goddesses. So similarly, if you were to sacrifice something like your own personal works, like a book that you've written, wherein the only copy that ever existed you gave to the gods, so that all of that energy, all of that focus, everything that you put into this goes to the gods and goddesses and is no longer usable here on Midgard. It's potent stuff, you know. Same thing with woodworkings and all these others. I'm sure there are other sacrificial items that our ancestors used that did not survive simply because of degradation and of the impermanent nature of those sacrificial offerings. We have the ones that are more permanent. Things like skeletal remains from, live sacrifices, or the materials of like metals and harder materials that stood the test of time. Sometimes we can see surviving soft materials in like bogging sacrifices, simply because the nature of the bog itself, because it was airtight in the submergence, but dense with the peat and all of that, a lot of times it will preserve soft tissue in a way that we could not do otherwise. It's like a wet petrification after a fashion, preserves soft tissue instead of turning everything into calcified hardness like a fossil would. So anyway, the gist of this is that we know of a number of different kind of sacrificial things that were given by the ancestors, and we have built on that over time. Again, like I've said in my previous videos, I'm not a hardcore Reconstructionist. Don't even call myself a historical heathen, because that's not my focus. My focus is not on recreating the religion of my ancestors. My focus is on building a relationship with the gods and goddesses, with the Vetir, my ancestors, and my folk. I do learn a great deal from our ancestors because they've got more experience in the field, and therefore it would be folly not to listen. So bumping my cable here, sorry. In doing so, I have some deeper thoughts on certain subject matters. And, discussing the nature of sacrifice is something that comes up frequently in heathen pages of all different bents, all different natures. There's obviously some things that don't measure up when it comes to a sacrifice. There's the comical term of snacrifice, or the Twinkie bloat, things like that. I find used in like hardcore recon conversations because they're wanting to, bring scornful attention to some of the more ridiculous sacrifices that we have seen come across the board in modern heathenry. Because it's really not appropriate to do a bloat with like Twinkies and ho-ohs and stuff like that. Those really don't carry the value necessary to be a meaningful sacrifice. So I would say that there has to be a more heightened value to yourself, even though it may be a liquid. A more meaningful liquid, such as, I say liquid like if you were to do like Coke or something like that. I would not offer Coke to the ancestors because I look at Coke and I see it as, while a pleasing beverage, nothing of any real value. As a matter of fact, I see it as an unhealthy thing that I occasionally give into, but for the most part, don't imbibe it. I do not give them like tea or, some of the every day-to-day kind of drinks that we do, simply because those are more mundane. I give them something special, something that means a little bit more to me, because that sentimental connection to the sacrifice itself makes it more valuable. Such as, let's look at a live sacrifice. If you're talking about like an animal sacrifice, you're going to sacrifice a goat to Thor. It's more valuable and more attached if it's a goat that you've raised yourself, you've put the energies into in order to sacrifice for that purpose. Meaningful energies have been put into this being and are carried over. That makes that gift so much more meaningful than if you had just simply gone out and bought it. Now, don't get me wrong, currency is a means of converting energy and effort and time into a physical medium that can be exchanged for items. So a purchased item still carries with it the energies that went into both the making of the physical item and the making of the money to purchase said physical item, because it is a physical representation then of all of that effort and work that you went into to earn the currency to buy said item. You apply the value to the money, and then you exchange that value for the equivalent value of the item, and boom, you have it. So, purchased items do still carry weight, just not in the same way that you would if you did it yourself, because not only are time and energy put into the gaining of the money to buy like the supplies and stuff to make a thing, but you actually physically pour energies into the creation of the item. You build a sentimental attachment to the item for the specific purpose of sacrifice. Therefore, it carries more weight. Okay, so I had a thought the other day, and this is something that my mind gets to rolling on things, and I'm not even really certain where it came from. It just kind of popped up, and then my mind went crazy with it. I was thinking on the nature of weird, on fate, on future, and I've been doing a lot of things looking into I've been playing some video games with some time travel elements to them, reading on Norns and on weird and fate and all of this. And I had the thought that the destruction of the item is necessary for sacrifice. It is not only necessary to transition the material, the energies from here to the realm of the sacred so that the gods and goddesses may then accept it, but it releases the energies held within the item. Now, those energies are energies that we've poured into it. Like I've talked about before, a wood carving that you've done bears the blood, sweat, and tears, and all the energy that you've poured into its creation. It's creation, it's the thinking it up, the dreaming it up, the doing of it, the action, the active energy is put into this vessel, and it is stored up. Stored energy is potential energy, and when potential energy is released, it becomes active, direct energies, kinetic energies. And so, if destroying the item for sacrifice releases that potential energy, then it is that potential energy that we are actually sacrificing to the gods and goddesses, is it not? When you break the vessel and release that which is held within, it is the contents and not the vessel that is actually the meat and potatoes of the gift. It can be a nice vessel. A nice vessel definitely puts a good dressing on the gift. It can add to the gift. But it's within that is so important. That's why the item of sacrifice helps, because it increases the value of the sacrifice. If you give a wine to a friend, and this wine is a great wine, it's a fantastic wine, and you love it, then in and of itself, the contents of the vessel is the gift. But if it comes in a decorative or commemorative bottle with a cool-looking cork, then all of a sudden, the bottle becomes part of the gift too. And it gets extra meaning. It's just a little flavor, a little salt, a little pizzazz. So, the potential energy that is stored within the item becomes the actual sacrifice itself. If this is the case, it's not just the energies that we pour into it that are potential energies at play, but rather it also includes all of the potential futures this item might have had. We sacrifice an item and we take it from the realm of Midgard. You take it out of the usability of mortal kind, because you not only sacrifice the item, but all of its possible future uses, all of its possible future outcomes. All of that energy is part of the sacrifice. It all goes with, because in that exact moment, it all ends. It all ceases to be. If I have a sword that I am gifting to the gods and goddesses, it carries with it all of the energies of its smithing. It carries with it all the energies of anything that I have done with it. Any defense, any offense, anything like that. Bears all of this weight. Carries it with it. It's deeply ingrained. But if I sacrifice that blade to the gods, that blade can no longer defend anyone. It can no longer attack anyone. It will never take another life. So everything that that blade might have done in the future also goes with it. Potential futures are another form of potential energy that is sacrificed with the item. If you sacrifice a living beast, goat, boar, cow, whatever, it's not only the life energies of that livestock that's being given, it's also the energies that you put into the raising of it. It is also all of the potential futures that it might have had. We lock it down into a finite. If you think about, Schrodinger and quantum physics, the quantum whale, inability to pinpoint something within a quantum spectrum. It's complicated, but we give it a finite form by putting it to end. All of this quantum possibility in the future is locked down into a singular reality. This is its future, and we have done it. We have ended it. And in so doing, all of those other possible futures are no longer possible, and therefore their energy is sent to the gods and goddesses. Not only do I sacrifice this hammer that I have worked so long with and that I have created, maybe I built it myself, maybe I forged the head and carved the shaft, and then I used it in all my blacksmithing work, and then finally one day I decide that I am going to sacrifice it to the gods to bless my tribe for the future. It's a powerful sacrifice. It's a wonderful item of deep meaning and value. All that sentimental energy is put into it. All of the stored energy from the work, all the blood, the sweat, the tears that go into the creation of the items that I've used with it, all of that is stored within it. It's orlog. And all of that is given to the gods and goddesses. But anything that I might have made with that hammer in the future can no longer be made with that hammer. Any of its future creations that would have borne its unique touch, its unique markings, no longer can, because it no longer is. So, thinking on the Norns, Ur Verdandi and Skuld, we have Ur, that which was, Verdandi, that which is, and Skuld, that which could be, should be. Skuld is she looks over this world of potential futures, of possible outcomes, logical progressions based on actions, on weird. The now, as is informed by the orlog, creates a vector, and the Skuld handles the projected vector. So, the orlog, the past energies that are built up within the sacrificial item, in the here now, an action taken here affects the future possible outcome, locks it into one singular reality, and then wipes away those other possibles, sacrificing them to the gods. So, I posit that it is potential energy, largely. It's potential energy that is converted not into necessarily kinetic energy, but into sacred energy? I don't know. That's something I have to continue to think on. But it's potential energy that is converted and transferred to the gods and goddesses. And that potential energy includes the potential futures and outcomes that an item might have had. So, in thinking on this, when we build rituals in the future, when we continue to build rituals, and we continue to choose sacrifices to give to the gods, we can think and use this to fuel some speculations, some thoughts, to help build better sacrifices, to help choose better items, to help choose better forms of sacrifice. Things that could have been are also part of that sacrifice. So it helps to give even more sentimental value to the item, because when you recognize the potentials that the item could have had, all of that becomes reality here, is poured into the item, becomes a physicality, and is sent to the gods and goddesses. So it's not just the vessel itself, it's that which is within the vessel, and it's that which the contents of the vessel could have been used for, or what the vessel itself could have been used for, had it not been sacrificed, had it not been given away. What could you have done with that tractor and the front end loader if you hadn't given it away to a friend who was starting up a new farm? You gave it away to them, and then later on in life they gave you all sorts of benefits from their farm because you gave them something that they needed, and so they give back to you in kind. But there's a lot of things you could have done with it on your own property that were of great value, and now no longer can be because you sacrificed it. So when you gave them that tractor, you did not just give them a tractor, you gave them everything you could have done with that tractor, because you no longer have the tractor with which to do it. So that's out there. I know it's kind of crazy, it's kind of weird, but this is kind of how my mind works. These are the things that I see. In so doing, we can build a ritual wherein we take these things into account, and we can choose more poignant, more valuable sacrifices as a result. This episode is going to be a little bit shorter, by about 10 minutes. I'm not going to make the 30-minute mark on this one because I'd really just kind of be repeating myself after a while, and I know you guys get a little tired of that. But that's kind of my concept here on the whole sacrifice, nature of sacrifice, is that it is the physical item, but it's not just the physical item. The physical item is the vessel for the potential energies, and the potential energies are the meat and potatoes, the good stuff, that we send over. So that is why, mead and ales are usually used, because they're special, they're set aside, they're unique. We give them unique abilities, unique values based on our thoughts and our energies that we've poured into them. We just like them more than we do our normal everyday beverages, and therefore they're special to us. So it makes a decent medium, especially since metaphysically it works well as a conductor for these energies. But in the same, sacrificing a bottle of mead means you are also sacrificing any camaraderie you might have had over that mead, any fun and games you might have had in the company of people utilizing that mead. You are sacrificing what that mead could have meant to you, to the gods, thus giving the potential futures to the gods, not just the bottle of mead. So now if you sacrifice a loaf of bread, it's not just the loaf of bread that you're giving them, it's the potential meals that could have come from said loaf of bread. It's these things that we sacrifice, that we give to the gods freely, that they may give to us. And so recognizing what it is more fully helps us to more fully actualize and build our rituals. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Again, sorry this one's a little bit shorter, but hopefully it's packed full of information that might get some mind fires going, get some conversations going, and get you thinking about your own sacrifices. That might get you thinking about your own rituals and help to build better ones for the future. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys for watching the channel. I want to thank you for supporting me. You guys are awesome. I don't even know what my count is on my subscriptions as of the moment right now, because I'm filming this like 2 weeks before it actually goes out. I try to film ahead, unlike Jesse over at Midgard's Musings, who he does his stuff live and then goes like to YouTube right after, because that works. I mean, that formula is fantastic for him. I love it. It's a good setup, flows just right. I need studio time and whatnot to do what I do, because I am who I am. So anyway, I like to film ahead of time. Job's busy, things like that. So I film when I can. That way I don't have to worry about whether or not I have content to go out on Wednesday. So anyway, what I'm getting at is, thank you guys. You're awesome. Please continue to support the channel. I don't do ads. I don't do monetization, specifically because you guys are awesome, and I want this stuff to just be out there and free for you. I don't want people to have to, sit through an ad to get this information. It's not for that. I'm not doing this to make a buck. I'm doing this because I like to teach. I like to share my thoughts, and they are just my thoughts. They're just my insights. I like to share those things. I enjoy it, and I enjoy the feedback. So, thank you again. From my heart to yours, hail. Thank you guys. May your ancestors smile.